100 divided by 4, and that would be 75th 10 or 75th 10 item rather, 75th item. So in that situation, so we've been able to sort out our quartile in this regard. Then we talk about percentile. Percentile, the 99 points that divide a distribution into 100 equal parts is known as what? Percentile. So what it means is that if you are to calculate, let's say 70th percentile, it will just be 70 over 100 times the cumulative frequency or the number. So in that situation, you have it. If you are talking about, let's say 35th 10, so it will be 35 over 100 times n. So that one is also very straightforward. So we've been able to elaborate on what? Measures of variation. And lastly, let's talk about measures of dispersion. So if you are talking about measures of dispersion, we are going to be talking about variance, we are going to be talking about standard deviation, we are going to be talking about mean deviation, we are going to be talking about interquartile range, semi-interquartile range. So also, I've been able to connote this in a tabular form to show that for variance, variance is summation, that is I starting from 1 to n of xi minus x bar divided by n squared. So xi minus x bar squared divided by n. That is how to calculate our variance for ungroup data. Take note of that. Then for a group data where you have frequency incorporated, in that situation it will be variance equals to summation of I1 to n fi into xi minus x bar all squared over summation of f. Also, then let's talk about standard deviation for ungroup data. Since we know that our standard deviation is the square root of our variance, you should know that relationship, that standard deviation is the square root of what? Variance. So whatever our variance is, all we just need to do is to take the square root. That's why the standard deviation has this formula. Then for group data, it also, all you just need to do is to take the square root of what? Variance, and you have your standard deviation. Then mean deviation, MD, is absolute xi minus x bar absolute over n. That is for ungrouped data. For a group data where your frequency is incorporated, it will be MD, that's mean deviation equals to summation of I from 1 to n fi absolute xi minus x bar then over n, where n sometimes can also be what? Frequency. Take note of that. So in that situation, be able to sort that. Then interquartile range. Interquartile range is the difference between the upper quartile and the lower quartile. Then semi, when you hear from the word semi, you should know that you are dividing it by 2. Semi-interquartile range is difference between the upper and the lower divided by 2. So these are all you need to know as far as statistics is concerned, and it is said that if one is not informed, one will be what? Deformed. So at this point, we need to know all this so that by the time we attend to questions, we will find it easier to sort out our questions. This is an example of OGIF that I talked about initially, where I said if you are to construct an OGIF, one we put into consideration cumulative frequency and the other parameter, which could be, just like in this case now, naira, it could be max, it could be scores, it could be anything. But on the vertical axis, we have our cumulative frequency. Then on the horizontal axis can be naira, score, max, etc. Now, if we are considering our OGIF, we have to consider the lower quartile. The lower quartile, the median, and also the upper quartile. And since OGIF, which is constructed using cumulative frequency, take note of that fact. OGIF is constructed using a cumulative frequency, and you can see that on the board. Now, to determine cumulative frequency for a set of numbers, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Let's say we have our frequency to be all this. I want to determine our cumulative frequency. I think I explained that earlier, but I just want to still refresh your memory. When you pick, so for this one, you write it 1. So you got to complete that of the second step, and in the second stage, it will be this 1 plus the next frequency 2, and that will now be what? 3. So if you have to compute the next one, it will be 1, this one plus 2 plus the next one 3, and that will be 6. So if you have to compute the next one, it will be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, and that will be, this one will be 10 now. That will be 10. Then if you have to compute the next one, it will be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, and that will be 15. So it means that by the time we sum this together now, we still get summation of f will be what? 15. So to be sure that your cumulative frequency is correct when after computation, it means that it must be equal to the what? The summation of the frequency. Take note of that fact. Each time you are picking computing your cumulative frequency, pick the first frequency, put it there. Use this to, so add this to the next one. 1, so 1, the first cumulative is 1. Then add this on the next one. 1 plus 2, that gives 3. Add 1 plus 2 plus 3, that will be what? 6. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, that will be 10. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, that will be 15. You can see that has justified that claim. Each time you are computing cumulative frequency, it must be equal to what? The summation of what? Frequency. Take note of that fact so that you can be sure that you are on track. Now, this, our lower quartile, it is given Q1, and the formula is Q1. The formula is N over 4 item, which in this regard, we go, what is our maximum, what is our cumulative frequency maximum? 100. So it will be 100 over 4, and that will be 100 over 4 TH, and that will be what? 25, that's 25th. So in that situation, you can see, so you go this length by moving along the vertical axis. This is 10, this is 20, this point is your 25. So by the time you trace it, that was what I was saying initially. So you trace that mark using your ruler to this point, then you trace it down, and that will be what? 15. That means your Q1 here will now be what? 15. Let me just put it like this. It will be 15 naira. So that's your answer. That is how to get your lower quartile. That's Q1. Then your median is Q2, and it is N over 2 TH. So in this situation, since our N is 100, it will now be 100 divided by 2 TH, and that will be what? 50th. So we also go there. So look at 50th here, we trace it, broken line, then we trace it down, and that will be, though this is not drawn to scale, but it is, because this is a plain board. So if it is on your graph, it will be more accurate. So this one will definitely be, it's just, that one is just striking the middle here, and that will be 17 naira. That's for the median. Then the last one, which is your upper quartile. Upper quartile is Q3, and that will be 3n over 4. And since our n is what? 100, so it will be 3 times 100 over 4. then we have this, and that will be, if you do our mathematics very well here, we are going to get 75th term or 75th item. So in this situation, since we have our 75th item, then we can now, this is 75th, we trace down on 2, and that will be striking the middle, that will be 19 naira. You can see how I've been able to use the concept of OGIF to figure out my answers successfully. So that is how to go about it. So in our subsequent lesson, where we're going to treat questions in detail, it will really be helpful. So that is why this must be borne in mind.
Now, the first question is on pie chart. The pie chart above shows the distribution of subjects offered by students in SS3 level. If 80 students enrolled in the class, what is the size of the angle of the sector in economics? So if you look at this question very well, you discover that each subject has been apportioned a particular degree. So, and if you look at it very well, you discover that the sum of angle at a point is what? 360. So that means we have physics. Let's also represent physics with P. Let E be English. Let M represent mathematics. Let B represent biology. Let EC represent economics. And let C represent chemistry. Remember that these subjects are distributed in a pie chart, and the sum of angles formed at a point is 360. So automatically, what it simply means is that by the time I sum that of physics, which is 36 degrees,